Hello. Welcome to our 5 days of Christmas painting, day 5. We are on our last day today. Byrdie here with Redbyrd Designs, and if you're able to watch and join us, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. And I'm just going to double check everything looks okay on my end. Give me just a second. Okay, we got sound. We are good. All right, so if you're just joining us for the first time this week, we are doing 5 days of Christmas card painting, where I was going live every day at noon to show you a new Christmas card to paint. And these are just fun little cute paintings that you can gift somebody this holiday season. And let's just show you what we did. So on Monday we did the snowman. Tuesday we did a Christmas tree. Wednesday we did the truck and tree. And yesterday we did a watercolor type painting with the bells and joy. And then today we're doing the did it get put in something? I just had it. We're doing the gnomes today. And oh, there it is. We're doing the gnome today. So 5 days of Christmas card painting. If you're interested in painting along and you'd like to know the supply lists, or you would like to have the tracers, just message me and I'd be happy to send those to you. Before I get started though, I do want to just mention our Joy Box. Our Joy Box is our monthly craft box subscription that we just started this month. And let me just show you what we're making. So one of the crafts in the box, well, let me start off by saying it's a subscription-based craft box. So every month you'll get a box shipped to you with a new craft. They'll be holiday themed, they might be non-seasonal home decor, but it's a combination of painting and wood and gluing and doing more crafts hands-on as opposed to just painting. And so they'll ship on the 5th of every month, and then you'll be added to a private Facebook group where we have the instructional documents there that you can download and do the craft that way. And then in the Facebook group we will also go live on the 15th of every month and walk you through that. So there'll be the video that you can watch, or there'll be the printed version, the 1, 2, 3 printed version type instructions, step 1, step 2 type thing. The video will also be recorded, so if the 15th doesn't work for you, you can catch it on the replay. It will be available indefinitely, and you can watch that at any time to do the craft with a schedule that works for you. Let's see what else. So the group will also be where I announce the next month's craft, and the group will be available to share your work. You can share your craft, and we can use that group just to get to know one another and craft together and share what we're doing. So let me show you what December's box is going to hold. The first small little craft that we have is the wood little gnomes. and those are these guys here. So we'll make that. And then we have also the ornaments that we're doing. And then the big craft is an 18-inch sign, which I'll try and show you in my video here, but I've got it zoomed in pretty good. So here's the top, and we'll just slowly go through. And so that is the craft that we are doing in our December. So the December box, Joy Box, will, the cutoff date is tomorrow, simply because we have to ship them on the 5th so that you guys get them in time to do them. So that's how it will work. Every month's box will have a cutoff of the 5th. If you sign up after the 5th, you will get January's box. There's that cutoff there. So I just wanted to point that out before we got started about the Joy Box. If you hadn't heard about it, there's that. And then also to remind you, if you wanted to sign up for it and get the December box, tomorrow's the 5th, so we have that deadline. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we can get going on our Christmas cards. So like I said, today we're painting the gnome, and let's just start off by the supplies that I'm using. I'm just using cardstock to paint my little paintings on, just a hard, thick piece of paper. And I've cut cardstock down to 4.5 by 6. And the reason I did that is to have a nice little border around my paintings. And so the blank note cards that I'm using are just a craft pack that I got at Michael's. And it came with envelopes, and this is a 5.5 by 6.5. So you could really make these any size that you want. But this is the size of note card that I had, so I made my cardstock a 1/2 inch smaller on each side so that I would get that border. Hi Erin. Hi Sarah. How are you guys today? Glad you could be here. Okay, so like I said, really any size that you want, and you could even just paint right on the note card if you wanted to. All right, so for paint, I'm using just a Christmas green, a primary red, a black, and a white, and then I have a little bit of yellow in there for the lights on my tree. Oh, and then my sky, I'm using a cotton blue. And I'm looking for my white. Let me grab my white. Okay, so I got my white and we're good to go. So I'm going to take my tracer and I'm just going to lay it on my card here, and I'll tape it down and we'll get that image traced on. These little cards are super fun, and they are super easy, and just a fun way to send some hand-painted cards this holiday. Okay, so let me back up a step. So I taped my paper down my image that I'm going to trace, and then I grabbed my graphite paper. And if you haven't ever used graphite paper, there's two sides to the graphite paper. There's the dull side here, and then the shiny side. You want to make this is the transfer, this is the graphite side, the shiny side. So you do want to make sure that the graphite side, the shiny side is down on your card, and then you lay that up. So dull side up, shiny side down. And there we go. We have our image transferred. If you didn't have transfer tape, though, you could easily just take a pencil, the back side of your printout here, just take your pencil and create your own graphite paper right on the back. You don't have to completely cover the entire image with your pencil, just the areas where you want that transfer to happen. So just cover that completely over the line work that we're going to transfer, and I'll show you this works fairly well. So if you didn't have transfer paper. Okay, so you can see I just quickly threw some graphite over the areas where I want my image to transfer. And I'll turn this over, and then I lay that on my card here, and then I can come in, trace over my line work, and I'll only go about halfway just to show you that that does it as well. Okay, just another way to transfer images on your surface if you didn't have transfer tape. Okay, so we're going to start with our background, and I've got a blue. I'm down to my last little bit of blue here. Let me pull my palette over. Get to a clean side of my palette, and then I will grab some white, and we'll work on our background. Just make sure that this all is good here. Have this to the side. All right, so the brushes that I'm going to use today, I'm going to use a flat to quickly get my background in, fairly easy. And then I'm just going to use a medium round, a small round, and my liner brush. So a couple different sizes rounds and a flat. Alright, so the background is going to be similar to what we did with the snowman, where we're creating, and the truck and tree, where we're creating that soft, muted, blended background, and it's not a solid color. We still see a lot of the blue and the white, but it gives it this nice soft look, like there's faded clouds in the background and kind of an abstract sky. So what I'm going to do for that, I'm going to load my brush up with a bunch of white, and then I'm going to dip it in that blue. And I know my blue's off to the side there, but we'll dip it in the blue. So your brush is going to have both colors. We're not going to blend it on our palette. We're going to let our brush do the work for us on the card. So with the two colors here, I'm going to go to my card, and I'm going to just start randomly placing brush strokes. And as I do that, some of that paint is going to blend into a lighter blue, and some of it's going to stay either a white shade or the full blue. But that is the way that we're going to get this nice muted background. And we just want to make sure that we don't overblend, because if I continue to just keep crisscross and I keep brushing over the same area, I'm going to end up with just a blended light blue. And we want to see those brush strokes. We want to see that variation in color. I'm just working my way around the gnome quickly just laying some brush strokes down, crisscross, making them all different directions. Okay, so if I get that a little closer, I see some of that detail, so you can see that I've got some dark areas and some light areas. Okay. All right, so let's just wash our brush real quick, and then we'll grab some of this white, and we're gonna put our ground in here. And then I'm gonna grab a little bit of black, because we don't want to just have a solid white ground. We need some gray in there to help create shadows and depth. So I added just a little bit of gray to the back here where my horizon line is, and then I'm going to add some more white to that and just kind of blend that down in there. If it gets to be a little too dark, too gray and muddy looking, because right now, I don't know if you can see it, but it's pretty dark on my end. I'm going to leave it as is, let it dry, and then I'm going to come back in and add some white streaks to it to where the sun might be hitting it and it's a little bit brighter white. And so if you get yours too dark, don't try and just continually brush more white on. We don't want to continually add more wet color on, because what will happen is you'll end up with a gooey mess. The best way to fix a mistake is to let it dry and then come back over with your color and fix it that way. Okay, so we're going to switch to our round brush now, and we're going to go start working on the gnome. I'm going to get a little bit of this red out. Using my round brush, I'm going to fill in his hat. So this first coat is going to look pretty bright, and you might even see some of the card come through. But continue just putting on a really light coat, because we're going to come in with a second coat and darken it up. So you can kind of see the difference here. This looks really dark and nice, and it's got some shadows in it, and this is really bright and not good looking quite yet. So paintings always go through an ugly stage, and it's always during those first couple layers that it's kind of hard to see the end goal. But let this dry. We're going to come in with a second coat, and it's going to look great here in just a minute. So let's go down and fill his body in. Same thing, we want to do a nice light coat. One, so it dries fast, and two, so that we don't get some gooping happening when we go for our second coat. So I'm painting all the way around his beard, painting his little arms. And then we'll come down and make sure to go around the little shoes. All right. So let's, we're gonna let this dry. We'll come back with that second coat and really darken it up and give it some shadow and depth. Let's fill in the little, his little pom-pom on the end of his hat here. And then I'm also going to fill in the rim of his hat. Okay. And then we can work on his beard. So his beard is gray, and you probably noticed I didn't have gray in my supply list. It's one of those colors that I typically don't ever use outside of the bottle. I like to mix my own. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of white off to the side, and then I dip my brush just a tiny bit into the gray or into the white. Black goes a long way, so always start really small with that because it will darken everything up super fast. It doesn't take much. Okay, so it's a little bit dark right now, but we're going to come back in with a little bit of white and add some highlights to it and darken or lighten it up. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move right into my black color, and I'm going to fill in his gloves and his shoes. I'm still just using my medium round for this process, but if you feel more comfortable in these smaller areas to use a smaller round, use whatever brush makes it easier for you and what you're comfortable using. There we go. Alright, so you probably noticed that I didn't have a peach out for his nose. And it's really not necessary. I'm going to show you how to make a peach real quick, but if you had one out of the bottle that you wanted to use, one of my favorites is the Apple Barrel Sun-Kissed Peach. I use that quite often. But if you didn't have it, it's really easy to make. So I'm going to show you how to mix your peach. It's just a red and yellow with some white. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this red, pull it off to the side, and grab some of this yellow. And peach is more yellow than red. So you can see how it looks a little orange here. It's kind of a corally color. But once I start adding that white to it, that's where we're going to start seeing that peach come out. So if it's too orangey, just add more yellow. So it's more yellow, less red, and then a little bit of white will give you that perfect peach. Alright, so let's fill in his nose. And there we go. So this peach is the peach out of the bottle, and this is the one I just mixed. So I could have gotten a little bit lighter with it, but that's okay. I like how it looks. Okay, So let's put that first coat on the Christmas tree real quick, and then we're going to go back and put our second coat on everything. I'm going to get a little bit of that green out, and we are going to just fill in this little Christmas tree. So I just used the shape of like a bottle tree, or the bottle brush trees. But you could definitely do a tree like we did earlier, an Oh Christmas tree, or you could create a tree with the method from the Truck and Tree as well. You can mix it up a little bit. Okay, he's coming along. Alright, so let's go back with the red and start putting in those shadows and those dark areas. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my red, and I'm going to dip my brush into that black, and I'm going to darken it up a little bit. Remember, black goes a long way. You just need a titch. Okay? So I'm going to just come in and add some brush strokes where there might be a shadow or a dark area. So here under the pom-pom it'd be a little bit dark. And I'll come around to this side a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to just dip my brush into the solid red and just blend that in a little bit, so it blends in with that red and it's not such a stark line. And that will also give me a second coat in that area where there was kind of where I could still see the card coming through a little bit. Okay, so let's grab some of that other dark, and we're gonna work on adding dark right next to his beard and under the hat here. And then I'm going to dip my brush into that red and just blend that in, bringing that down. I'll put a little bit of dark under the beard all the way around the bottom there, and then just blend that in. Okay, so that is that. He would be super cute with some fun patterns on his hat as well if you wanted to add polka dots or stripes. You could definitely do that. You could do polka dots up here and stripes on the body, vice versa. Alright, so let's put a second coat on this beard. Let's lighten it up just a little bit. Just going to streak some white in there. I'm not going to cover it completely, just creating some lines that would look like hair. So not a lot, just a couple streaks there. Okay, so I'm going to switch to my liner brush at this point, and I'm going to start working on the highlights. So in this one I kind of did some fun squigglies and made it a little bit whimsical. So my highlights, I just went straight and did a squiggle and then let it die out. So we'll start at the top here, and using really light pressure, drag your brush, squiggle it, and then just pull it away. And you don't have to do that. You could just do a straight line, a straight highlight line. And then let's add some highlights to his arm right here. We'll put a little bit on the body there. A couple around the beard. Okay. And then let's put a little bit of a highlight on the top of his boot. And a little bit on his mittens. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my medium brush and get my second coat on my tree now. It's dry. We can darken that up. There we go. And then let's go back to our black liner brush, or our black paint using our liner brush. So if you're just joining us, we are doing 5 days of Christmas card painting, and where I went live every day this week at noon and did a new Christmas card painting with you guys. And they all are available on replay, so if you missed them and want to paint along with us, go to our Facebook page, scroll down, you'll see all 5 of those available for replay. If you're interested in painting along and you would like the supply list or the tracers, message me and I'd be happy to send those to you. Okay, so with the black, we're going to work on creating some defining lines and outlining some different areas. I'm going to start with the little pom-pom here, and I'm just going to put a couple squiggly lines around it. I want it to look kind of fluffy. And then we're going to do the hat. And here, where the hat, where I have this black outline here, I'm indicating that the hat is turned on itself. And so I'm going to just start here and drag that line through and just give it a little squiggle for maybe a wrinkle in the hat. Okay, and then I'll just add lines all the way around the hat here. And you don't have to outline it completely if you don't want to. Just a few outlines here and there really help bring out the shape of those elements. For instance, here I don't have a black line here or here, but just a few just really add to that, bringing out the definition of that. When you're doing outlining with a liner brush, remember to use a very light pressure, because even with a liner brush, if you have a heavy hand and you're using a heavy pressure, you will get a thick line. So I'm just outlining his nose. I outlined the rim of the hat, and now I'm going down to the area of the body. And just adding a few lines here and there. Around his beard. There we go. And then let's add a black line where our ground touches the sky, our horizon line. And then he's kind of standing on a mound, so I added a little black line here on each side of his feet to indicate that there's just a mound of snow there. Okay, so let's outline the tree. Just add a couple lines around that, and then we will add some lights to the tree. You could also add a couple black lines in his beard. You could do straight lines like I'm doing, or wavy lines to indicate more of a wavy beard, or put little swirls in here and it will make it look like he's got kind of a really curly beard. Alright, I just forgot to add a quick little white streak on his nose. I want to have a highlight right there at the top of his nose where the sun is going to hit that. So we'll add that real quick. And then we're going to go grab some of that yellow and add some yellow dots to the tree. You could use really any color you want. You could do multiple colors. So I'm going to put a big dot at the top of the tree here for more of the star look. And then just a couple dots in the tree with the yellow. You could use the brush side like I'm doing, or you could turn it over and use the back side like a stamp. And we did that when we did the truck and tree for the snowflakes. Okay, and then I'm gonna just kind of make it look like there's some glow off the top of the star here. I'm just gonna drag a couple thin lines off of it so it's got that light coming off there. Okay. And that is it. Our cute little snowman, or not snowman, Santa Gnome. It'd be cute to put a little beard, or you could do a, what am I thinking, belt. Could have put a belt on him, polka dots on his hat. You could add snow to it like we did with the truck and tree. So a lot of different things you can combine with all of these different paintings, the different techniques to create your own little piece of art. Don't forget to sign your work. If you end up painting along with us, either on the replay or now, I'd love to see your art. Feel free to share a picture in the comments or tag me in a post. I'd love to see what you guys are creating. I hope you had fun this week with these 5 days of Christmas card paintings. If you paint them, painting along today, Sandra, awesome. If you're painting on the cards, I encourage you to send them out and bless somebody this holiday season with your hand-painted art. And if you're painting them on something else, I'd love to hear about that. Are you painting them on canvas? Are you painting them on wood for a shelf sitter? Are you creating little ornaments? So a lot of different ways that you can use these little paintings. So I'd love to hear what you are doing. Again, if you want the tracers and supply list, message me and I'd be happy to give those to you. And I hope you had fun this week. Hope you enjoyed yourself painting, and I can't wait for our next little painting challenge. So I will let you guys go. I want you to have a great Friday. Yay, it's Friday. Hope you had a great week. Hope you have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks.